As we count down to the highly anticipated rematch between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, it's the perfect time to reflect on the storied history of the light heavyweight division, a weight class that has produced some of the most thrilling, brutal and technical masterful fights in boxing history, combining the power of heavyweights but sometimes with the speed and skill of middleweights. Today I'm going to look back at some of the most unforgettable wars, tactical masterclasses and legendary comeback performances, from historic slugfests, high-stake championship battles. These are the fights that define the division and still stand the test of time. So on that note, let's get right into it. Number 1. Archie Moore vs Yvonne Durelle. Few fights better encapsulate the spirit of a champion than Archie Moore's first fight with Yvonne Durelle. Coming into the fight, Moore was already considered one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. But he was almost 45 years old, and maybe past his prime. Durelle, a rugged and powerful Canadian contender, entered the ring as the underdog, but had no intention of rolling over for the aging champion. The fight started in shocking fashion in the first round, as Durelle dropped Moore 3 times, coming within seconds of a historic upset. Somehow, Moore survived and began mounting one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history. Slowly but surely he turned the tide, using his savvy experience, pinpoint punching to wear Durelle down. By the 11th, Moore had fully taken over, dropping Durelle multiple times before finishing him with a devastating right hand.
Moore back after once again. 3, 4, 5, 10. He is out.
This fight not only showcased Moore as a legend, but one of the greatest light heavyweight fights we've ever seen. Not to mention a reminder to never give up. Number 2. Bob Foster vs Chris Finegan. Bob Foster was one of the hardest punchers in boxing history, and in 1972 he was at the peak of his powers. He entered the fight as the dominant light heavyweight champion, known for his knockouts. Across the ring from him stood Chris Finegan, a gritty British southpaw with a relentless work rate. Finegan refused to be intimidated and pushed Foster harder than most expected.
Pulling out the best from himself as he often does on the big occasion.
Absorbing Foster's best shots as he kept pressing forward. He landed clean combinations, making it a grueling battle. Foster, however, remained patient, and as the rounds went on, his superior firepower began to take its toll. By the 14th round, Foster unleashed a crushing assault.
Put down there by another savage attack, and he goes, and this is probably the finish. I don't think even Chris Finegan has got anything left now.
This was a war of attrition, proving Foster was more than a puncher. He could battle through adversity and outlast even the toughest opponents. This fight was in fact named Ring Magazine Fight of the Year for 1972. I highly recommend you check this one out. Number 3. Matthew Saad Muhammad vs Marvin Johnson 1. In the 1970s, Matthew Saad Muhammad was the ultimate warrior, a man who thrived in brutal back and forth battles, and his first fight with Marvin Johnson was no exception. From the opening bell, Johnson came out firing, using his southpaw stance with heavy hands, put Saad Muhammad in deep trouble. Johnson battered his opponent throughout the early rounds, forcing Saad Muhammad to dig deep. But as always, Saad Muhammad had another gear. He absorbed a ridiculous amount of punishment before mounting a stunning rally in the later rounds. By the 12th round, he had completely turned the tide, landing a ferocious right hand that sent Johnson crashing to the canvas.
Johnson looks a little weary at the moment. Another right and a left by Franklin. Blood all over his face. And Franklin standing there, flat-footed, throwing everything in his body. Hard right hand to the face of the champion. Another right hand to the face of Johnson. Johnson's in trouble on the ropes. And down he goes.
It was a defining win in his career and a prelude to even greater wars to come. Number 4. Matthew Saad Muhammad vs Yaqui Lopez, the rematch. If you want the perfect example of what made Saad Muhammad one of the most exciting fighters in the 70s, look no further than his rematch with Yaqui Lopez. Lopez, an aggressive, durable contender, took the fight to Saad Muhammad from the start, hammering him with relentless combinations, round after round. Lopez seemed to have the upper hand, backing the champion into the ropes and unloading everything he had.
I'd like to alert our stations along the line of the station breaking the end of this round.
Saad Muhammad looked on the verge of defeat multiple times, but in true warrior fashion, he refused to go down. Then came the legendary 8th and 9th rounds, with round 8 being the Ring Magazine Round of the Year.
Beautiful! What a comeback! What a comeback! Lopez battles his way up to the middle of the ring. The crowd going
comes the strength of Muhammad.
Under 30 seconds to go in the 8th round.
Saad Muhammad, summoning superhuman resolve, launched a stunning barrage of punches that left Lopez battered and defenseless, putting him on the canvas multiple times.
Muhammad just measuring him now. The champion would appear to have retained his title. Lopez is done.
The referee stopped the fight in the 14th round, capping on one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history.
Finish him.
His adrenaline is up now, Tim. He saw him fall down. That's like 5 minutes rest.
Good right
That's
hand.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
Saad Muhammad versus Lopez too was actually the last light heavyweight fight to be named Fight of the Year by the Ring magazine, and arguably the greatest one we've ever seen. Number 5. Roy Jones Jr. versus Antonio Tarver 1. Roy Jones Jr. was seen as nearly untouchable when he stepped into the ring with Antonio Tarver in 2003. Fresh off a history-making win at heavyweight against John Ruiz, Jones was making his return to the 175-pound division after call-outs from Tarver, with many wondering if cutting the weight down would impact him. From the start, it was clear that this wasn't the same Roy Jones. Tarver pushed him harder than any previous opponent, using his southpaw stance and sharp counters to keep the pound-for-pound king uncomfortable.
Tarver's got to believe it. Tarver landed that left-hand shot. Jones clowned a little bit. Tarver lands 2 more left hands.
Jones dug deep, relying on his experience, hand speed and edge to close out a controversial decision.
Thought it would be. Roy Jones has dug deep and has found the best within himself in these last 6 minutes and seems on that basis to have saved his record.
This fight shattered the aura of invincibility surrounding Jones, setting up the shocking rematch where Tarver would deliver one of the most famous knockouts in boxing history. Number 6. Sergey Kovalev versus Andries Ward. A modern chess match that was the layer of controversy after. Sergey Kovalev was the feared puncher at the time. Andries Ward was the master technician who was the golden boy at super middleweight and recently moved up to the light heavyweight division. In the early rounds, Kovalev appeared to be in control, even dropping Ward in the second round, landing a right hand, beating him to the punch.
Oh! Down goes Ward on a perfect right hand shot. That's only the second time.
See, Kovalev threw the right hand, Ward tried to counter with straight right, but he countered from the right side, which is very dangerous, and Kovalev was able to beat him to the punch because he started his punch first.
But as the fight wore on, Ward adjusted, working the body, clinching, and slowly taking over the exchanges on the inside. The fight was very close, with many feeling Kovalev had just done enough. However, the decision went to Ward, sparking heating debates. The rematch would remove any doubt, with Ward stopping Kovalev, maybe in controversial fashion again, but the first fight remains a fascinating study in skill, adaptation, and high-level boxing. Number 7. Gus Lesnevich versus Freddie Mills. A brutal, unforgiving war. The reigning ring and world champion at the time floored Mills 4 times in a devastating second round.
Blistering left to the head, put Mills down for the first of a total of 4 knockdowns in round 2. Mills with both hands. And Mills goes down for the second time in the round. Lesnevich, realizing he can end it right now, tears in again.
Yet the British challenger in Mills somehow survived and came roaring back. The 11,000 fans in the stadium got behind Mills as he came back into the fight, pushing Lesnevich to the absolute limit, fighting through a grotesquely swollen eye and broken nose. This savage battle came to an end in the 10th round, when Lesnevich, breathing heavily and sensing the moment, landing a final crushing right that left Mills draping over the ropes, forcing the referee to intervene. It was a fight filled with heart, punishment, and unrelenting action, one that truly defined the grit of the light heavyweight division. Number 8. Jeff Harding versus Dennis Andries 1. One of the greatest comeback fights in light heavyweight history saw the young, undefeated Australian Jeff Harding take on the battle-hardened WBC champion Dennis Andries. From the opening bell, Andries imposed his will, using his strength and experience to punish Harding with looping right hands and relentless aggression. Harding, though, refused to fold, showing incredible resilience despite taking heavy damage in those early rounds. As the fight wore on, Harding's durability and relentless pressure began to take its toll on Andries, who started to fade under the Australian's high work rate. Entering the final round, though, Harding needed a stoppage to win, and he delivered. overwhelming Andries with a barrage of punches, secured a dramatic 12-round TKO to claim the world title in stunning display. Number 9. Michael Spinks vs Dwight Muhammad Qawi. This was a fascinating contrast of styles. It pitted the rangy, technical, brilliant Michael Spinks against the relentless, iron-chin pressure fighter in Dwight Muhammad Qawi. Spinks, known for his awkward yet highly effective style, used his 6'2" frame to his advantage, pumping out that long jab and sharp right hands to keep the much shorter Qawi at bay. Nevertheless, Qawi was relentless, bobbing and weaving his way inside, forcing Spinks into a grueling battle at close range at times. While Qawi had his moments of success, especially when he managed to work on the inside and target Spinks' body, the future Hall of Famer remained composed, adjusting his strategy and landing those sharp counters throughout. However, it was Spinks that took over the fight as it entered the championship rounds, showcasing a superior ring IQ and conditioning to win a clear yet hard-earned unanimous decision, cementing himself as one of the best light heavyweights we've ever seen. Number 10. Sergey Kovalev vs Anthony Yarde. This was a fight that nearly saw a massive upset. The bout tested both fighters in ways that they hadn't been tested before. Sergey Kovalev, the reigning champion and former pound-for-pound star, looked to defend his WBO light heavyweight title against the young, hungry Anthony Yarde. An explosive but untested British contender with knockout power at the time, Kovalev controlled much of the fight early on, using that signature jab and sharp right hand to keep Yarde at distance. But in the 8th round, Yarde landed a vicious series of hooks and uppercuts, had Kovalev on the brink of being stopped.
At the right, he's got the champion going. Oh, tremendous attack. Big headshots from Yarde. Oak. He's lost every round to here, but now Yarde is trying to knock him out.
The Russian was visibly hurt and exhausted, yet somehow survived the round. That moment proved to be Yarde's last stand, having spent all his energy trying to finish the fight in that moment. Kovalev regained control and systematically broke Yarde down before finishing him with a stiff left jab in the 11th round.
A huge right hand, and another. Oh, he's gone! He's gone! It was the left hand that did it, and the fight, I think, is all over there.
Kovalev proved his championship experience in a dramatic rollercoaster of a fight. 11. Antonio Tarver vs Bernard Hopkins. A defining moment in the legendary career of Bernard Hopkins, moving up from middleweight to challenge the reigning light heavyweight king and ring champion Antonio Tarver. Hopkins was considered the underdog, with many believing the size, power and age difference being too much. But from the opening bell, it was clear Hopkins was not just there to compete, he was there to win.
Body shot by Hopkins. Tarver looking and looking again.
Using his superior footwork, defense and counterpunching, Hopkins neutralized Tarver's offense, frustrating the champion and making him hesitant to throw. Hopkins controlled the pace, landing the clean shots and outmaneuvering Tarver at every turn. In the 5th round, he scored a knockdown with a beautifully timed right hand, further asserting his dominance.
So just trying to land one good punch with a straight right.
His glove touched the canvas.
No.
It is a knockdown.
Very weak.
Big right hand by Hopkins to the chest of Tarver.
The energy level and the strength seems to be coming from Bernard. And as you see, Bernard fights with his head down, as I told you all the time.
I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's going to finish him.
By the final bell, it was evident who the superior fighter was. Hopkins became a 2-division world champion, winning in a unanimous decision victory. 12. Beterbiev vs Bivol. Artur Beterbiev, the devastating knockout artist, faced Dmitry Bivol, the highly skilled technician, to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion. Beterbiev's brute strength and unrelenting pressure met Bivol's brilliant ring IQ and precise counterpunching in a clash of Soviet styles. While Beterbiev pressed forward relentlessly throughout, Bivol's movement and counterpunching shone through, with accurate jabs and combinations. However, the danger of Beterbiev's power and pressure was always there. It was a fight where every round felt like it could tip in either direction, in what would prove to be one of the highest level contests we've seen in years. However, it was Beterbiev's output and pressure that proved decisive, earning him a majority decision victory to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion. However, with boxing fans split on who actually won, we'll get the opportunity again to see them battle it out in the rematch February 22nd to see if we'll get a more decisive victory or another potential classic light heavyweight showdown. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which fight is the greatest light heavyweight fight? Or do you have a particular favourite that I've missed out? I'd love to know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.